Why does it look like that? Good Lord. Okay, I guess I'm just gonna have to post it like that. Hi. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Hi, Emily. Hold on here. Hold on 1 second. Girl, you already know what's up. Okay? We gotta link up because we both in the same place. So, anyways, I got my green tea. Oh my gosh, it's been so long since I've done a live stream. And like this past year, I really didn't intend to take this much time off from my channel, but there were so many changes in my life. And then like this summer, but we good. I feel like I had a little bit too much fun this summer. I was so like in my routines at the beginning of the year and got like super snatched. And then I had like a little bit of fun, got a little fluffy. Now I'm getting back in my routines. Everything's getting snatched up again. So, anyways, it is time to get the ball rolling. And I know I've been posting new meditations on my channel. And I've been uploading some videos, but I think live streams is just where I have the most fun. Just because I get to interact with people back and forth. So this live stream is about 2 comments that I saw on my channel. And they were on the main side of my channel. For people that are on the membership side, I will start doing live streams there again too. One step at a time. Okay, I don't want to overwhelm myself. Just because I know myself, when I do something, I go all the way. And so I'm trying to integrate things in steps to keep it balanced. But yeah, today I'm going to talk about 2 topics that I saw as comments on the main side of my channel, one of them being how to overcome self-sabotage, and then the other, what do you do when somebody's treating you amazing, but you are not feeling them in the same way. And I think both of these things have a lot of context that we have to bring into play here, especially when it comes to mindset, because I think a lot of content online can oversimplify things in ways that cause people to be frustrated. So let me expand on that a little bit. Specifically with the very first comment that I saw somebody write regarding self-sabotage. It's been such a long time since I caught you in a live. How have you been? I've been good. Just like going through so many changes, y'all, but in a good way, a really, really good way. Anyways, let me go back to what I was saying. So actually, let me read the whole comment. What does it mean when you want something, but you have fear or anxiety about experiencing it and end up sabotaging yourself? The first thing I want to say, actually, before we even get into this, when it comes to fear and anxiety, is, and I tried to make this actually really clear in my workshop for breaking negative patterns. There's this ideology online that certain emotions are good and certain emotions are bad. Like, we cannot have fear, we cannot have anxiety, we cannot have sadness, we cannot have anger. We are only supposed to feel happy, joyful, fulfilled. And in my opinion, that is very far from the truth, because every emotion that we have is valid. And certain emotions are there as indicators for things that are going on in our environment, how we need to respond to them. So I think one thing that I want to bring up in regards to this, when we're going towards things that are unfamiliar, I think it is a natural human response to feel a bit of fear or anxiety. Now, like I say in my content, how you choose to respond to something can create different outcomes. So the issue and the point that I'm trying to make here is, if we have this ideology that certain emotions are good and certain emotions are bad, when we feel fear and anxiety and then we identify that as a bad emotion that we cannot feel, we're going to start getting in our own way, right? Because we're going to start to push against ourselves instead of looking at it and viewing it from a very human, response-based way of, okay, it's normal for me to feel this way. I can feel these emotions. I can still get what I want, but what is this emotion indicating? Right? So if I'm moving towards a new experience and I'm feeling anxiety and fear, what is it exactly that I'm fearing? What is it exactly that I have anxiety about that I need to look at so I can adjust within myself? And again, this is the problem when we try to avoid emotions or we shut them down or we demonize them. Those emotions are there as signals. So if I just try and ignore it, so for instance, and again, we'll get into the context of this comment, but let's say I'm feeling anxiety because I don't believe in my ability to overcome challenges. Okay. And so I'm going in a new direction. I'm starting to see there's challenges and I get anxiety and I just try to ignore the anxiety. Well, through ignoring it and demonizing that emotion, I'm not able to identify that what's really going on is I'm intimidated by the thought of challenges. And through ignoring it, I'm going to perpetuate that belief because I don't address it. And then I'm going to see that my fear and my anxiety manifest as a genuine experience that I have because I wasn't able to actually look at it and address it. Okay. So the main point that I wanted to make here is all of our emotions are valid. And again, it's how we choose to respond to it, right? If I can have a healthy relationship with my emotions, then when they pop up, I can discern them and see what is actually going on here. So again, let's go back to the question. I want to manifest a new house and a good boyfriend, but I realize I've never had those experiences and I feel like I'm afraid to live these new experiences. I end up sabotaging myself. I think it might be something about me doubting my own abilities and self-confidence. I want to also understand what it means to start listening to one of your sleep tapes that can help me with that. So the sleep tapes, we'll come back to that in a second. For new house and good boyfriend, okay? I just put out a nighttime recording regarding manifesting your dream house. And the point that I was bringing up earlier about how some content online can oversimplify these things is when you look at the nighttime recording that I made for a dream house, I brought into context so many different components that go into that, from the real estate agent that you're working with, your finances, your credit score, your financial planning, how good you are with managing your finances, your ability to identify your dream house and persist through challenges, right? So if we, again, a lot of the oversimplified advice online is going to be like, tell yourself you have your dream house. Okay, but anybody that's bought a house understands like you have credit score, you have lenders that you have to deal with, you have real estate agents that you have to deal with, you have to, closing costs, you have inspections, you have to find the house, there's the market, there's all of these circumstances and potential challenges that could be in the way. And so if we're just over here telling ourselves we have our dream house, but then there's these things that are popping up that we don't hold belief systems in accordance to dealing with, it's going to be very easy for you to become intimidated, triggered, spiral, give up, right? All while trying to tell yourself, I have my dream house. So again, when we're looking at creating the things that we want within our life, even for a good boyfriend, there's quite a few things that are tied up into the concept of relationships, right? So if I don't normalize my wants and needs being met, and this actually relates to the second question, if I don't normalize my wants and needs being met, if I am not confident with my ability to uphold boundaries, if I don't normalize healthy treatment, if I don't hold a belief system that I don't have to compromise, like I don't have to be with somebody that I'm not attracted to that treats me good, right? I can be with somebody that I'm attracted to that also treats me good. If I don't have those belief systems in play and I'm just trying to over here tell myself I have an amazing boyfriend, likewise, I'm not setting myself up for success because there's going to be an unfolding, right? So you're going to be meeting people and deciphering and deciding who you want to entertain. And from that standpoint, if you don't hold a healthy belief system, again, about wants and needs being met, let's say you hold a belief system where it's normal for your wants and needs to not be met, you're going to be drawn to and attracted to men that don't meet your wants and needs, but then you're going to be over here affirming in your mind that you have an amazing boyfriend, right? So to me, having an amazing boyfriend means it's somebody that meets your wants and needs. But you also have to be able to uphold boundaries as dynamics are forming because we are showing people how to treat us in a moment to moment basis. And if you don't have a healthy belief system around boundaries, people are going to be pulling all this bullshit on you, and you're just going to be over here accepting it, letting them walk all over you, and inevitably creating an unhealthy dynamic, but in your mind just trying to affirm you have an amazing boyfriend. So again, the point that I'm trying to make here is a lot of content online oversimplifies these processes in a way that won't lead you to these successes that you necessarily want to experience in your day-to-day life, because there's deeper belief systems and concepts at play when you're looking at the things you want to create within your life. Okay, so if you have never had experience with buying a home, or you've never had an experience with having a healthy relationship, just telling yourself you have your dream home and you're in an amazing relationship, in my genuine, honest opinion, is not going to be enough. Could you do that? Because in theory, in the end, yes, that would be a normal thought for you, but you need to break these concepts down further, because the deeper layers to it is where self-sabotage occurs. So again, I'm going to go from the example of, we'll use both. Okay, so let's say buying a dream house. One way that you could sabotage that process is letting your credit score tank because you start spending money frivolously. And so for whatever reason, you miss a credit card payment 2 months in a row. Okay. The way that our brain works when we experience self-sabotage is we will be very intelligent with it. So if there is a part of you that doesn't believe that you can have what you want, and you don't have healthy belief systems in accordance to the topics related to what you want to experience, you're going to find that you materialize behaviors unconsciously to prove yourself right. Okay, so again, if I don't believe that I can have my dream home, and I don't have the healthiest belief system about finances, then as I'm going on this journey to manifest and create my dream home, I'm going to find that I make small little decisions unconsciously that create problems to prove to myself and sabotage it, but prove to myself that it's not normal for me to get what I want. I can't have my dream home. And then again, there's different ways that could show up when we're looking into buying a home. Like I was just bringing up, there's things like credit score, right? You have to show stable income for a certain amount of time, tax returns, all of these things, right? So that's where you have to really look at these concepts deeper within a relationship too. When it comes to sabotage, I kind of already brought up a few points, but you form dynamics over time. So again, if you don't have healthy beliefs about boundaries and your wants and needs being met, you're going to, in little moments, set an example or choose people that ultimately don't respect you, don't care about your boundaries, and don't honor you properly, to sabotage and prove to yourself that you cannot have a good, healthy relationship. Okay? So if you've never had the experiences that you want to have, that you want to materialize in your life, my first word of advice, like I've said consistently on my channel over time, I got my green tea. So for people that know me or that follow me on Instagram, we've been going through a lot of changes. I think I'm like 2.5 weeks off of like coffee and energy drinks and only like green tea and matcha. So that's been fun. Okay, back to the point. You want to create something that you don't have any experience with. My first word of advice, and something I've said across my channel over time, is you do not want to focus on specifics first. Your first goal should be to generally align to a belief system that is congruent with whatever the outcome is that you want to experience. But again, you need to think about these things more critically. Okay? So for a relationship, there's quite a few concepts tied into that. For buying your dream home, there's quite a few concepts tied into that. You also have to think about yourself and the experiences that you've had to this point. So I'll explain both. So for a dream home, right, there's the concepts tied into that are going to be finances, normalizing stability within your life. There's going to be normalizing getting what you want just in general. So that's wants and needs being met. But there's also specific belief systems that you can build up around the process of buying and getting the house that you want, being properly supported. And that translates into the real estate agents that you pick, the lenders that you work with, right? All of these decisions that we make on a conscious level are going to come from deeper belief systems that are driving those behaviors, decisions, and ultimately how things unfold. So again, when it comes to creating things that you don't have experience with, you want to look at what beliefs do I need to take on and what has my experience been up to this point. If you come from a history of it's not normal for people to support you, listen to you, it's not normal for your wants and needs to be met, you grew up in a financially unstable environment, you look at your finances and your credit score is a bit fucked and you have a hard time really like, paying things on time, just building wealth or money in your life. Well, those are things that you have to take into consideration, right? Because you're going to want to make sure you address that. And to me, your dream home is also kind of a physical representation of just life stability. So, again, if you come from a very unstable background, and here we are wanting to create something that is very symbolic of like, I've kind of made it in life. I have my dream home, my ultimate stability. This is where I get to like, this is my safe place. Then we need to make sure that we normalize having that level of stability within our life as well too, so we can accept it, recognize it, and own it. So again, just to reiterate, we need to build a belief system congruent with what we want to experience, and we want to make sure that we also address things that we have already gone through where we can see, oh, okay, there's some weaknesses here. And that's okay. I want to just say this. We're going to not demonize the word weakness either, because everybody has them. And it's totally fine. And again, this goes back to even the point that I was making earlier. We shouldn't demonize certain emotions. We also shouldn't demonize mistakes. We want to, if you are very serious about creating the things that you want in your life, you're going to need to really look at why you currently don't have it. Where are we off? Okay. What is going on right now that needs to be adjusted first in my belief system, but then that will translate into how I'm showing up and handling things. Okay. So that's what I would do. And that's, again, for the home. For relationships, it's the same thing. We want to generally align to a belief system congruent with that experience. Beliefs about men, women, relationships, wants and needs being met, boundaries, definitely boundaries. Okay. Remaining self-respecting. Okay. That is like the central component to relationships. If you do not respect yourself, nobody's going to respect you and love you properly. Okay. So you want to make sure you generally align to that belief system while also looking at how you have historically shown up in this area of your life and make sure you adjust that, right? If you need to let go of past experiences, then build up beliefs about that. If you need to recontextualize some things, build up belief systems around that. You need to very critically look at, again, where you are currently, where you want to be, and start assuming a belief system that puts you in that version of yourself. Okay. That relates to the second part of this question, which is how do sleep tapes help with that? So in my own philosophy approach, I don't like affirming all day long. And I also want to say this here. What I talk about is not the only way to adjust your beliefs. You can also do cognitive behavioral therapy. You can do hypnotherapy. You can do, there's different modalities. Some of you might have to do like EMDR if there's things that are really deep within your subconscious that you need clinical help with overcoming so that you're no longer holding on to traumatic memories that pull you back into old ways of identifying. But in my approach, what I like to do is use sleep recordings, daily meditation, nervous system regulation, and placing a routine onto your day so that you can really monitor how you're showing up and make sure that who you're being is congruent with the belief system that you're growing into. Okay. And a lot of that, as you persist with the meditations, you'll notice new thoughts, behaviors, ways of operating start to evolve, but there's probably going to be certain points in your day where you have to consciously step in and also make new decisions. You have to be disciplined with yourself. If you're spiraling, if you're triggered, if you want to engage in contradicting behaviors during the day, you have to step in and address those things in the moment and pull yourself out of that way of operating, because your brain is always watching you. Okay, so I know that sounds kind of weird, like we are our brain, but our brain is also very complex and there's a lot of thought processes going on. So it's also observing what we're doing, and we are really showing ourselves who we are based off of what we choose to entertain and proceed forward with. So for instance, if I'm trying to create a healthy, loving relationship, but then I'm stalking my ex all day long, my brain is seeing me doing that. And so through my own allowance of that behavior, my brain is looking at that and saying, oh, you're not serious about moving forward and creating a relationship that you want. You keep allowing this behavior to materialize. So that's who we still are. You're going to continue to have this experience because you're not stepping in and breaking this and going in a new direction to show us that we are no longer going to create this in our life. Okay. So yes, the nighttime recordings are really useful. Daily meditation is really useful. Nervous system regulation is really useful. But you also want to make sure with how you're spending your time in the day, it's actually healthy and congruent with the things you want to experience. Okay. And to be honest, that just comes down to discipline. It's not going to be fun. We're just going to throw that out there. It's not going to be fun. You are going to have to really call yourself out and hold yourself accountable and go in a new direction. And there's probably going to be parts of you that fight it, that don't feel like doing it. And you're just going to have to do it. Okay. I will say this, the more that you catch yourself. Okay. So let me give you a little bit more context to this, and then we'll go back to the nighttime recordings. When you're triggered, when you are spiraling, or when you are about to engage in a behavior that you know is not moving you towards what you want, the best approach is to ask yourself, what would I need to believe that would cause me to stop doing this? That would cause me to, like, what would I need to believe that would make this thing that I'm spiraling over irrelevant? Or what would I need to believe that would allow for me to no longer engage with operating this way? So we'll use the like stalking an ex as an example. Okay. Let's say you're stalking your ex because you can't move forward and you don't believe that you're going to be able to ever find somebody else that loves you as much as they loved you. Okay. So you realize those are the thoughts that you're having, and then it just drives behaviors. So in that moment, when you feel those thoughts coming up, when you feel the trigger coming up, when you feel the urges to do those behaviors, you ask yourself, what would I need to believe that would cause this to stop? That would cause me to no longer think this way or behave this way. Okay. So I'm sitting here stalking my ex because I don't believe that I'm going to be able to move forward and nobody's going to love me as much as they love me. Okay, so the beliefs that would allow for me to no longer engage with this would be, it's becoming easier for me to let go of the past and move forward in my life. I'm starting to believe that there are plenty of people that can love me as much as my ex loved me. Okay, even if you want to word it like that, that's totally fine. Okay, we can get straight to the point with that. Okay, you can directly address it in that way. So that's where you step in and affirm those things to pull yourself out of that trigger and to go in a new direction. Okay, because again, your brain is watching you. So the moment you step in and start doing that and make new decisions, now you're showing to your brain, I'm dead ass serious about this change. I really want what I want. So all of us is going to get on board now. And every time you do that, every time you step in and disrupt those thought patterns or behaviors, it becomes easier and easier and easier. At first, it doesn't feel very fun. Okay. So let's back it up. The nighttime recordings are really useful for addressing a lot of different beliefs at once. Okay, because again, in relationships, there's quite a few different areas. For Dream Home, there's quite a few different areas. You don't really have all day to be affirming these things. So the nighttime recording is a really nice, efficient way to address a lot of beliefs and maximize your time because you're sleeping anyways. And your brain can hear it. I just posted something in my community tab referencing to different studies that show even when you're asleep, your brain is still listening to your environment. So yes, your brain can hear the affirmations while you're sleeping. If you have done it before, you know this because you've seen it in yourself as you're awake and you start having new thoughts and behaviors that are from affirmations you don't even remember listening to at nighttime. So that's just for anybody that's never done it. Okay. The nighttime recordings are really useful to addressing quite a few different beliefs. So you don't have to use the ones on my channel. You can create your own. I won't take it personally, but it is a form of self-hypnosis. Okay, that's really what you're doing even with daytime meditations as well too, is you're stepping in and disrupting thought patterns and behaviors and establishing new beliefs that will then allow for you to step into a new identity. And again, this is where what you're doing during the day is important, because if I'm trying to step into a new identity, but then I'm allowing thoughts and behaviors that are contradicting to that identity to perpetuate, then my brain's gonna be like, you're trying to tell me that you're this, but then you keep doing this, like, this is who you are. You're going to keep experiencing this because you keep allowing this. Okay. So everything needs to be congruent. And I will say this, at the beginning, I think the best approach is to cut things out and go in new directions. So you don't have to force yourself to do anything or be something that you're not. It's more about course correction. So with the example that I used earlier about like the stalking the ex, If you are going in a new direction of creating your dream relationship, you might not know what that version of you necessarily looks like yet. So you just need to start establishing the beliefs and stepping in and removing the contradicting behaviors. As your brain starts to accept the new beliefs, you will start to show up differently. You're going to start to put yourself in different positions, entertain different people, respond differently. That will naturally occur. So essentially what I'm saying here is you don't have to pretend to be something that you're not. You just want to start making the adjustments, okay? And cutting out the things that are toxic and not congruent with what you want to experience. Again, as you influence yourself with beliefs more and more and more, new thoughts, feelings, and behaviors will arise, and you will start to show up differently naturally. So your first goal at the beginning is to just address what needs to be addressed and step in and remove the ways of operating that are not congruent with what you want to experience. All right. That is my philosophy with creating these changes is the nighttime recordings help you address quite a few different beliefs, but what you do during the day is also equally important. Now, again, with self-sabotage, once you go through this process and you accurately identify the beliefs that need to be adjusted and you step into an identity congruent with what you want to experience, you're going to find that you don't have self-sabotage occurring anymore. Okay. The only time that we experience self-sabotage is when we hold beliefs that say, this is not a normal experience for me. I can't have this. Or I've been through experiences that have shown me that I get the opposite of whatever this experience is. Once you adjust that, you're going to find that embracing new experiences and allowing yourself to have them is easier. Okay. It feels more automatic and natural. You may find yourself having, little triggered moments as you're bringing in new experiences. But at that point, you should already be able to know what's going on, be able to identify it and pull yourself out of triggers and persist through it in a way that's manageable. If you don't do any sort of belief work and you just try and throw yourself into new experiences, when you know that you kind of struggle with self-sabotage, you're not even going to be able to see what you're doing that is sabotaging things, and you're going to sabotage it without even realizing it. So that's why I don't really love the advice, the physical advice of like, just take action, just do it, because how you do something matters and how you're doing it is coming from your identity and your belief system. So before you go towards any new experience, okay, please listen to me because this is going to help you avoid a lot of headache and heartache. I'm a very driven person. I don't mind putting in work. I don't mind showing up. For instance, I love to go to the gym and challenge myself all the time. But you want to think about what you're doing very intelligently, right? So if I'm just throwing myself into new experiences with a belief system that doesn't match that experience, I'm most likely going to sabotage it. And then I'm going to walk away from that experience more hurt and discouraged. So that's going to be an additional layer of something that I'm going to need to work through and probably shame. So before you go towards new experiences, really take inventory so that you can take the smartest approach with, minimizing the potential impact, right? So again, essentially what I'm saying here is don't put yourself can you throw yourself into new experiences? Can you grow and learn that way? Sure. The smarter approach would be to make sure you do the mental adjustments first, though. Okay. So that should answer both those questions regarding having fear or anxiety about experiencing something and then ending up sabotaging yourself. I just want to reiterate this point too when it comes to fear and anxiety. Your emotions are valid. Don't run from your emotions. You are allowed to feel whatever you want to feel. And in fact, your emotions are signals or indicators. So instead of trying to avoid that you are fearful and anxious, look at them and ask yourself, why? What is going on here that is making me feel fearful and anxious? What needs to be adjusted? What is my body trying to tell me? Okay. Always take that approach. You're going to be much more happy doing that versus ignoring your emotions and the signals that your body is giving you, that had you paid attention to them, you would have avoided things. Okay. Avoided potentially painful experiences. Okay. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about is somebody wrote a question of like, what if they treat you great and you don't want them? Hold on here. Let me read the chat. I attract the men I'm attracted to, but they get insecure about me having options. However, I tend to entertain one person at a time, so I let them know there's nothing to worry about. Oh gosh. How do I say this? Where are my glasses? I'm not sure what to do. So okay, before I say this, I'm gonna provide some context here. I've been on YouTube for 5 years, and I've also gone through a lot of growth and change over the past 5 years. And every time that I start making content again, I feel like people get a different version of me that has grown and elevated more. And that has been very true in this past year. In the past year, I've been through some very, very challenging experiences that have caused me to be even more kind of ruthless with who I am, what I believe, and how I present myself, which is why I ended up getting the truth and the respect tattoo on my neck. And so I'm saying this because when you guys ask questions like this, I'm probably going to give you very savage responses moving forward, because I'm advocating for the best for you. Okay, like I said in the most recent video that I put out on my channel, I will always tell you that you can get what you want. It's not for me to tell you what to want, but I'm also not here for the bullshit, and I just am going to really advocate for the best for everybody, because I know that you can get the best. And I think after so many experiences that I've been through and what I've seen, I just don't want people to be limited in their options or what they choose to entertain because they don't know how good it can be. Okay, so that's the first thing that I wanted to say. Now, I attract the men I'm attracted to, but they get insecure about me having options. So they shouldn't be attractive. They shouldn't be attractive because the men you want to be with would not be intimidated at the thought of you having options. They would see you as a really beautiful woman, and it would make sense that you have options, right? Like, wow, yeah, I get it, but I'm not intimidated by those options. And I want to be with somebody that is desired, that is desirable. So I'm secure in myself. And even if you have options, I'm not viewing them as threats. I feel no need to control you or get jealous over who or what could be talking to you, because I'm self-recognized enough and secure enough within myself to not worry about those types of things. Okay. So what I would look at for you is maybe slightly adjusting what you're attracted to in men. I'm not talking about on a physical level. Okay. I would reinforce, like, yes, I can be with my type. I can be with guys that I find physically attractive, but I also find secure, emotionally available, mature men attractive, because adding in that additional context into your belief system is going to cause you to stop entertaining men that are insecure, because that's essentially what you just said. They're insecure. They don't like the thought of you having options. They can't handle the fact that you're a baddie. And so they would rather, they're just too insecure to handle that, right? And so I want you to think long term why that's important, because if at the beginning somebody cannot like function at the idea of people being interested in you and you having options, it could very easily lead into a dynamic where somebody is controlling, right? So like, I'm not even with you. We're not even in a relationship yet, and you're tripping over the fact that I have options and that guy is like me. So what? When we get into a committed relationship, are you going to treat me like I'm your property and like lock me up? I'm never going to be allowed to leave the house because I'm beautiful and I'm going to go out into public and guys are going to find me cute. Like, you're going to be that insecure. We're not even in a relationship yet, and you're over here tripping over the fact that I have options. You good? Okay. Work on yourself, sir. Address your insecurities. So anyways, for you, I would just say, again, I love that you're attracting men that you're attracted to, but I would go in and reinforce it too with, like, it's normal for secure, mentally mature, emotionally available men to be attracted to me. I'm only entertaining men that are secure within themselves, that love that I'm desired and desirable, that want to see me happy and successful, that never feel the need to control me. Like, let's amp up those types of beliefs again. So who and what you entertain kind of shifts a little bit, because I think that's what you would want, right? You would want to be in a relationship where somebody builds you up and wants to see you thriving and wants to see you happy and isn't threatened by the idea of other people finding you attractive. Okay. So, and that's what you deserve. Okay. So let's talk about this. What if they treat you great, but you don't want them? I have to talk about neither of this. I'm going through a breakup for this very reason. Ooh, let's talk about that really quickly then too. Breakups are tough. Okay. So if you're going through a breakup, I'm sure you're probably in a mental space where you're going back and forth in your mind between like, I needed to break up with them for these reasons. And then it's like, I miss them. I care about them. We had all these good moments as well too. Okay. My best word of advice for you right now, if you're in that place, is to write down why you broke up with this person in a note and keep it there. Like your thought process behind the decision that you made and the things that really led to the breakup so that you can stay grounded in the decision that you've made. Okay. That's just going to be important for you to have in different moments when you find yourself spiraling a little bit, or this person interacts with you and they try and make you feel like shit, okay, and emotionally manipulate you back into being with them. So I would just keep that handy, like in a note in your phone, okay, so that again, you can stay grounded in your thought process and be like, oh yeah, no, I made the right decision. I'm good. Other than that, obviously do the mindset work and the nervous system regulation. And I also find when you're going through a breakup, like really focusing on your health, eating good, exercising, your daily routines, things like that. If you can channel any sort of like emotional processing into bettering yourself, you're going to be able to move through it a lot easier. Okay. Okay. All right. So, what if they treat you great, but you don't want them? Okay. So, there's some context here that I'm going to provide when it comes to dating, because some of you might be entertaining people that you're not physically attracted to. And that's why no matter how good they treat you, you don't want them. And let's talk about why that's important, because being physically attracted to somebody touches on your wants and needs being met. Physical attraction, in my opinion, is also closely related to intimacy, right? It's going to be kind of difficult for me to be really intimate with you if I'm not really that attracted to you. So when we sacrifice physical attractiveness for treatment, and people say like, I'm not here to tell people what to do. You want to be with somebody that you're not physically attracted to that treats you great, fine. I'm just going to talk about the thought process behind this, okay? To me, it says there's parts of me that believe that all of my needs and wants don't deserve to be met. So I'm willing to sacrifice on some things because I don't believe that I can have them, right? I don't believe that I can be with somebody that I'm fully physically attracted to that treats me great. The problem with that, though, again, is it becomes conflicting because you're still going to have some needs and wants not being met. Intimacy is a huge need and want that we have within relationships, okay? So even if they're treating you great, you may find over time that you actually don't want them because, again, in a way, you settled, you compromised, and played out a belief system that was, it's not normal for all of your wants and needs to be met. Okay, so that could be one potential here is some of you are choosing to entertain people that you're not attracted to because they're treating you great. Okay, but over time you don't want them because even though they're treating you great, there are certain needs and wants still not being met. Okay. The other component to this, the other option that could be going on is, let's say you are initially physically attracted to them. Okay. No issue. You're physically attracted to them. And as the relationship progressed and they maintained a level of consistency with good treatment, you progressively became more unattracted to them. You lost attraction to them, right? Why would that happen? Now we have to look at ourselves and our history. So if in your past dating experiences, you did not have healthy, good, loving treatment, okay, consistently loving treatment, and let's say growing up, you did not have the best examples of a healthy relationship in your life. what is most likely happening is you are sabotaging the relationship unconsciously because you cannot normalize or accept this person's loving treatment. So it becomes repulsive. And the way that your brain responds to this is it starts to find them unattractive and projects the rejection onto them. Okay. And so if this is occurring, and this is where you have to really discern. Okay. So that's why I said if at the beginning you were fully physically attracted to them and everything was going great, but then you started losing attraction to them over time, and there's really not a reason why, like they have just been loving and treating you well. What is most likely going on is there's parts of you that cannot normalize this type of treatment. Okay. And now that they have been doing it for a consistent amount of time, it has affected you and started causing you to reject or sabotage the relationship. So what you need to do in that case then is, again, go in and make sure, when I would communicate this, okay, like it is okay to communicate these things. You do not have to keep this to yourself. I would be like, hey, I'm really struggling because, you're so loving and you're so amazing. I'm sorry if I've treated you in any sort of way. I am just not used to this type of treatment within relationships. And I think my body is having a hard time accepting this and normalizing it. It is okay, you guys. We are not you are allowed to make mistakes. You don't have to be perfect. Be vulnerable in your relationships. It's fine. That's what they're there for. Okay? Be open and honest about it, but at the same time, make sure you actually do something about it. You need to let this person know what is going on so that they're not over here getting in their head, feeling insecure, like they're doing something wrong when they're not doing anything wrong. They're doing everything right, and you don't know how to accept it. Okay. And I love you. It's fine. I've been there. No judgment. So, from that standpoint, though, once you have that open, honest conversation, again, you need to do the internal adjustment work. And there might be a few things that are going on here. It could be stemming from foundational experiences that you've had. It could be, again, just general beliefs that maybe you hold about men, relationships in general, your wants and needs being met. You really need to sit down with yourself and observe yourself to see what needs to be adjusted. And then again, throw on a nighttime recording, do your nervous system regulation, do your daily meditations. If it's something that you're really struggling with, maybe seek some additional help, coaching, therapy. Again, you can fix this, but you need to be very honest about what's actually going on and where is it stemming from. So to summarize that, again, there could be two things that are going on here when somebody's treating us great and we don't want it. The first one is we settled. We chose to be with somebody that we're not attracted to, and that's most likely stemming from not having our needs and wants being met. The other option is most likely this person is treating you in ways that you can't normalize, so you're sabotaging the relationship. Okay. And the more loving that they are to you, the more it becomes conflicting, and your body quite literally starts rejecting them. All right. So those were the two questions I want to answer. Let's look at the chat. I think everything was clear. For the people that have been here this whole time, was I clear with everything we talked about? I don't know how to deal with someone who doesn't treat me well at all, but I have tendency to ignore people who love me. So what? Maybe. Okay. The reason why I'm making this face is because I'm just thinking about so many different things that could be going on that would lead to that. I guess I'll just explain my stream of consciousness. When I hear, I don't know how to deal with someone who doesn't treat me well at all, that makes me think you most likely grew up in an environment where you were silenced, taught not to speak back, or put down anytime you tried to speak up. So you never learned how to have boundaries or advocate for yourself. Okay. And again, growing up, if you're in an environment like that, you're very powerless. So if people are not being considerate towards you and constantly putting you down and don't allow for you to advocate for yourself, then you normalize being around people that don't treat you well and not being able to stand up to it. The problem with that is once we normalize it, even if we don't like it, when something is normalized in our brain, so let me actually reiterate this in a different way. Once you go through enough experiences that you adopt beliefs that say it's normal for people to not respect me, your brain, the way your brain works is it always wants to prove your beliefs true. So what that means is if I accept a belief that it's normal for people to not respect me, I'm going to unconsciously be attracted to people that don't respect me. And I'm going to entertain them because I'm going to keep proving to myself that it's normal for people to not respect me, which I know sounds weird because essentially what I'm saying here is like you actually like that to a degree. Okay. On a conscious level, you don't. Nobody wants to be disrespected, but your body has normalized that experience so much and you've picked up beliefs that keep driving you towards those experiences to keep proving those beliefs true. Okay. So again, that was just like the first thought that I had reading this. So I would definitely work on boundaries. Okay. I have a few nighttime recordings on my channel regarding boundaries. I have the Savage Mindset one. Any of the ones that have like leopards or cheetahs on them, those are like really good recordings and meditations for boundaries. I have a tendency to ignore people who love me. So again, that's the flip side of this. So if we grow up in environments where people aren't loving us and respecting us and treating us properly, we normalize disrespect, a lack of love, and poor treatment. So when people come in loving us, respecting us, and treating us well, you literally do not know how to accept that. Okay. And this is where you shouldn't judge yourself because I think this is like, I'm sure writing this question, you're probably feeling like, why do I do this? Like, why would I ignore people that love me? And there's probably parts of you that feel ashamed and are like judging yourself, but you shouldn't. Okay. Because you had no control over the experiences that you had foundationally. And it's not even something that you're consciously trying to do, right? Obviously, on a conscious level, you would want to be around people that love you, that treat you well, and that respect you. But if you went through experiences that negatively impacted you to the point where you picked up beliefs that are driving certain thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, you can't control it. It's almost like it's a completely foreign experience, right? So if I've never had somebody love me, respect me, or treat me well in my entire life, that is like going into, let's say you grew up speaking English and then you go to a different country where they don't speak English. Let's say they speak Spanish, okay? And then you're getting frustrated with yourself for not speaking Spanish. Like, boom, how would you even know? You have no experience with it. You can't even control it, right? So that is where you have to look at yourself with compassion and just realize, okay, if I want to change my experiences that I'm having here and what I'm drawn towards and what I'm entertaining, let me start to adjust my belief system. And I think for you, that is, again, boundaries. Hold on, let me take a sip of water. Really getting a strong sense of autonomy and advocating for yourself, but also normalizing being around supportive, loving people and probably adjusting your worldview a bit. Okay. So like, I'm starting to believe that there are people in the world that are loving, kind, respectful, and treat me well. I'm starting to feel like I belong in the world, that there are people that openly embrace me and love me. I'm allowing myself to be openly embraced and loved. My body is starting to normalize being around kind, respectful people. Belief systems that would allow for you to entertain and accept those experiences in while also be able to uphold boundaries and no longer internalize or be drawn towards people that disrespect you. All right. Do you think doing general beliefs would be the best when it comes to creating change in all aspects of life? I'm still in school, but would love to be prosperous as well. The college struggle meals are not for me, but I also want to focus on my self-concept and love a little more. So in my opinion, all you really need to do is focus on self-concept. And it's general. So let me explain why I say this. In your life to this point, when you look at any sort of patterns that you've been in, you most likely were not consciously affirming for those things to occur, right? When we get stuck in negative patterns, we're not consciously trying to make them occur. We might get negative intrusive thoughts. We might dwell on negative intrusive thoughts, but those are automatically occurring. Like you don't sit there and consciously affirm negative things. It's automatic, right? And then negative patterns follow automatically. So what does that say? You're in a general belief system, an identity that has been formed over time through the general experiences that you've had, that then are causing you to project negative intrusive thoughts and patterns in your life from that identity. So when you adjust your general belief system and your identity in a new way, you're going to produce new automatic thoughts, feelings, and behaviors and new patterns automatically. Can you add a level of deliberation to that? Sure. Could you do techniques where you consciously affirm results? Sure. Do you need to? No, because you didn't need to consciously do techniques to make negative patterns evolve. So you don't need to consciously do techniques to make positive patterns evolve. Can you do them? Sure. But in my opinion, all you really need to focus on and adjust is your identity, because once that gets in place, everything else is going to follow. Just like how, again, whatever has been perpetuating your life up to this point has just naturally been following. Oh, 5 years. Oh, sweetie. I'm in therapy and I'm trying to get better. We've broken up and now have no contact. I like to win him back because he was a really good man and our relationship was good. When you guys are in no contact situations and you're going through relationship problems, please listen to me right now. Okay. I'm going to tell you the realest fucking advice that you're going to hear, and it's what you need to hear. I know that when you are in crisis mode and you want to fix a relationship, everything inside of you is going to want to reach out to this person and show them that you have changed. You need to give them space and you need to genuinely work on yourself. You need to take the focus off of them completely and make the actual change that you need to make within yourself. That is what you need to do. You need to take them out of the equation right now. Okay? Because if somebody has gotten to a point where they have decided to go no contact on you, and let's say you made a mistake, I understand the urgency behind wanting to show them that you've changed and the urgency behind wanting to fix the relationship. But the urgency that you're feeling and the desire to reach out to them and show them that you have changed is the reason why they've gone no contact on you. Because the way that there's something off in the approach. There's either a lack of trust going on here. You need to give it the space and actually go through the change and trust that as you go through this change, they will eventually reach out to you. And when they do, you have actually made the changes you need to make that will be so obvious when they speak to you. So that's really genuinely what you need to do. Okay. And on a day-to-day, you need to discipline your mind. I know that you may miss this person, and I know that your mind may be going back to them or thinking about them, but you have to see the bigger picture here of if you've gotten to a point where you've sabotaged a relationship and you're no contact, there's something deeper going on that needs to be addressed that is outside of them. And so with whatever you're addressing, you should not be doing it for them. You should be doing it for yourself. Okay, because that's what they want. This person genuinely cares about you. The reason why they're going no contact on you is because they want you to realize that you're struggling with something that has nothing to do with them and you need to help yourself get better. And I'm sure if they see that you actually take those steps to help yourself and get better, they would be open to talking to you again. But if you are so obsessed with this person and you are just doing everything to get them back, to get them to love you, and you are not actually making a change within yourself for yourself, that is going to translate. Okay. So when you're in no contact situations, to the best of your ability, you want to just fully focus on yourself, give this person space, make the changes that you need to make within yourself, and then allow for it to naturally unfold. In your mind, you can hold a knowing that they're going to come back around. They're going to see how much growth that you've gone through and you're going to be able to fix things. But that knowing, okay, you can hold that knowing while just actually focusing on yourself. I guess the reason why I'm saying this is like, do not attempt to reach out to them. When somebody goes no contact on you, they are placing a boundary. If you overstep that boundary and try to contact them, or you continue to try and show them that you have changed, you're going to piss them the fuck off. And you're going to, every time you do that, you're going to show them why they don't want to be with you, because you're not respecting their boundaries. Okay. It's not going to get better. So I'm just being so real with you right now. Okay. If you really want to fix a relationship and you're in a no contact situation, do not contact the person and actually make the change you need to make, because your chances of fixing the relationship will be exponentially higher. Okay. All right. I had to ask myself, why am I wanting to manifest someone who treats me poorly? That was the pivotal moment for me. Some things are not worth persisting for. Yes. And you know what? I want to say this too, because somebody else just brought up long distance too. When it comes to, I'm going to give my perspective on this, but again, this is my perspective. Y'all can do whatever you want to do. Don't think that I'm telling you that I'm just somebody that has experience with mindset and manifestation, but like, I'm not here to tell you how to live your life, but I am going to encourage you to think for myself. Okay. When I persisted for something or through something, it was because I deemed it like valuable. Meaning, like a relationship, if there were challenges going on, I had to have already been dating the person for like at least 6 to 8 months, and like moved in with them and had like a pretty, at least 6 to 8 months, okay, maybe a year. And there was already a pretty good history and dynamic. Okay. When y'all are going out there and you're like, this person is super long distance and we only hung out once and I want to persist and manifest them, what are you thinking? You don't even know this person. Okay. Respectfully, I'm just being so loving right now. I would probably, if I were you, go more in the other direction of like, let me put myself in the position to have options. And it's normal for people to be consistently in my life. And I'm not just falling in love with the idea of a person. Because if you've only hung out with a person once, you guys need to understand, like in relationships, there's so much to this. You're going to entangle your social life, your finances with somebody. You're going to eventually move in with them. You're going to share responsibilities. Like a relationship is not something to fuck with. Okay. You choose the wrong person, it can make your life a living hell every single fucking day. Okay. I'm just being all the way for real with you. So, and again, people can grow and change, and we really play a huge role in the dynamics that we create. But you don't want to just be going out into the world and picking random strangers and being like, I want to manifest that person. You can have a preference. You could do that if you want. Again, that's your life. You can do whatever you want. But you should, have physical preferences towards what you're attracted to. But I want some of you to be more protective and discerning of yourself. Okay. Because again, a relationship is a big deal. So if you're going to choose to persist for something or somebody, make sure that like you have taken the time to really assess why. All right. So again, like instead of just latching onto people because you had a few good experiences with them, what I would do if I were you is I would put myself into a belief system where it's normal for me to have options. And then I allow myself to have multiple options. And whoever treats me the best is the person that I'm going to move forward with. Okay. Versus just meeting, a person and hanging out with them a few times and then latching onto them and persisting for them. You haven't even spent enough time to actually get to know this person. Essentially what I'm saying here is like, I want y'all to be in the position where it's like, people have to really prove themselves to you, because I think what I see online is there's not enough discernment. Like you're meeting people, you're attracted to them, you hang out with them once or twice, and then they just fully win you over. You are just not easily given away. That's what I want. That's the point that I'm trying to make. Like you don't easily give yourself away. When some of you are picking people to persist with, you're just like easily giving yourself away and fully committing to somebody, and you haven't even gotten the chance to get to know them. So that is where I want some of you to just really think about what you're going to persist for. Because like I said, relationships are a big deal. They're a big deal. You're going to entangle a lot. So when you choose to persist for something, make sure that you've thought about it. I'm being so honest with you. Okay. I'm being so honest with you, because just trust me on that one. Just trust me on it, because you know what? You're a human being too. Sometimes we just got to go through our own experiences and learn. And that's fine if you don't listen to me and you come back one day and say, like, Dylan, I wish I would have listened to you. That's fine too. But just know I'm looking out for the best for you. I really am. So I want to talk about this. Call me out. I had a really good first date, but then started having doubts, and the opposite started occurring. So I'm reinforcing my beliefs. Um, I want some of y'all to get into a belief system, okay, where it's like the men that I am attracted to, even if I have doubts, they remain consistent and they comfort me. Like, I don't have to be perfect in order to be loved. I can have insecurity sometimes, and people will still be consistent with me and love me properly. Okay. So I just want to encourage that type of thinking, because you do not have to be this perfect, like, robotic human being. Okay. I've even talked it like years ago where I said, um, in relationships in my past, I had moments where, like, I was not happy with my physical appearance because I gained some weight. And I was very honest with the person I was with. And I told them, like, hey, I don't really feel that good with myself right now. I cried in front of them and I was feeling insecure. But then I also was like, I know I still deserve love, but like, I just don't love, how I feel right now. And that didn't mean that I wasn't loved. Right. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is, let's augment our belief system towards, we don't have to be perfect in order to be loved. And even if we have insecure moments, the people that we entertain maintain a level of consistency, or they're so supportive that they will step in and, in a reasonable way, um, soothe us, right? As long as your insecurities aren't like, consuming, and like you need constant validation to the point where it's like, okay, you just need to address this within yourself. Okay. I'm just going to encourage that type of thinking. You don't have to be perfect in order to be loved. I will say this though, if you're having doubts, like if you go on one date with somebody and then you have doubts that they're not going to like you should address that too. Okay. You should be leaving dates like, yep, that was amazing. They're going to reach out to me. I don't need to sit here waiting for a phone call, because we're not even in a committed relationship yet. So they get to take all the initiative. That's for my girlies. Okay. My girlies, let me tell you something. You're the one that's pursued. You don't wait for anything. Your commitment deserves to be earned. When people make gestures and approach you, you are not obligated to give anything but your time and attention. Your time and attention is the reciprocation. So if a man approaches you and he offers something, wants to take you out on a date, wants to buy you a drink, whatever it may be, you reciprocating your time and attention is the fair and equal exchange. Okay. And you deserve to be pursued, and you never should feel guilty or obligated to reciprocate anything that you feel uncomfortable with. And that's just something that we should normalize, just being pursued, and, letting yourself have that treatment. Okay. That's what I'm going to say. How to experience having a long lasting relationship if I always end up in a RLS. from the last, that lasts from 1 to 4 months, and then everything goes down. What's an RLS? What's an RLS? RLS. Relation. Does anybody know what that is? RLS. If I always have an RLS. I guess I'll wait for somebody to answer that. Maybe relationship. I thought it was like, I'm trying to think, maybe they're talking like a long distance relationship. Also, let's talk about that. Why are y'all you know what? I'm not gonna, y'all can do whatever you want. Actually, let me be quiet. How to deal with the constant fear of being rejected. I was actually just talking to a client about this. Which also, speaking of that, if any of you are interested in coaching, I do have availability. And I think I'm going to run a sale soon, maybe for Black Friday. I'm not too sure yet, but I opened up some availability. So anyways, I was just talking to a client about this. And in my opinion, when we're looking at the fear of rejection, we have to kind of really assess what's going on. So, and this is going to be kind of different for everybody, but I'm going to take it from the scope that I was talking to this person about. So for them, what we just, were discussing was that their sense of worth was tied into the acceptance from other people. Okay. And that also impacted their ability to be self-recognized. Now, let's talk about the self-recognition. Okay. When I say, and I'm going to put this in the context of relationships, but this can also apply to like career as well too, or other areas of your life. Okay. Self-recognition means you understand who you are and how you operate and the level of treatment and care that you deserve. So if in relationships, I am very committed, loving, and loyal, I'm self-recognized and saying that I'm a good, healthy partner. Now, with that, I should have a healthy expectation of, if I operate this way, if I operate in a loving, committed, healthy way, the minimum that I deserve in return is loving, healthy, and committed. Okay. So that's self-recognition. Okay. I am aware of who I am and the quality traits that I possess. And I have certain standards that I have self-defined because I'm willing to also operate at that level. Okay. So when we're self-recognized, again, we are going to just be aware of what we deserve that is independent of other people. It's self-defined. Okay. Now, when we have a fear of rejection and it's coming from our self-worth is being dependent upon other people's acceptance, that's going to create a problem in my ability to be self-recognized. Because if my worth is dependent upon you accepting me, then I'm not going to be able to maintain a level of self-recognition because it's going to be dependent upon whether or not you like me or not. Okay. So to get around this, what I would start doing is affirming in and addressing that my self-worth always comes from me. I only need validation from myself, or I only seek acceptance from myself. Okay. When you start to do this, what happens is, in my opinion, you're not really going to give a fuck about rejection anymore, because what your thought process on it will more likely be, if you don't want to be with me, you're missing out. Okay. So like if you reject me, if I'm self-aware or if I'm self-recognized and I know the quality of treatment that I give and how amazing of a person I am, then you rejecting me is again going to be more perceived like, oh, okay, you don't even know what you just missed out on. I know how great I am. My self-acceptance comes from me. I validate myself. I know that I have plenty of options. So bye. I really don't give a fuck. Actually, you're missing out. Like, you thought I needed you? You thought you were the only available option? Okay, bye. You will just perceive things so differently because, again, your self-worth isn't going to be tied into people accepting you. And because it's no longer tied into people accepting you, you're going to be more operating from that place of self-recognition. And in that place of self-recognition, you're going to be able to see, okay, if you didn't want to give me an opportunity or a shot, you really don't realize what you just missed out on. So it's more your loss than it is mine. Okay. Do you see how that would change your whole perception on that? Which means you become a lot more fearless. Okay. And in the sense of like, and resilient, just resilient in general, right? There's a lot more freedom in your life. You're not walking around constantly trying to adjust yourself to appease other people or gain other people's acceptance, which the funny thing about operating this way, when you do this, is like then you end up getting people's acceptance. Okay. When we operate from a belief system where we crave people's acceptance, our self-worth is dependent on people's acceptance. What happens is you're not going to be your authentic self because you're going to be constantly anticipating who people want you to be and then trying to be who you think they want you to be. And in a way, it's kind of a desperate way of operating that's going to be, in my opinion, a bit obvious, which is going to cause you to not really get people's acceptance. When you stop giving a fuck about people's acceptance, for the most part, people find that generally very attractive. So you're going to find that operating this way, you naturally get their acceptance. And then if you don't internalize it. Okay. You're just like, okay, whatever. Didn't need your acceptance anyways. Okay. So I do have to get going, but I'm glad we did an hour, you guys. It was so nice chatting with you all and answering these questions. How do we get coaching? So everything is on my website. It's presentnowcoaching.com. It's usually in the description of all of my videos. So after this live stream, this is going to be live on my channel for the people that are here that want to rewatch this. When I close this, you'll see on the live tab of my channel that this video pops up. So I know we talked about a lot of different topics today. It's probably worth rewatching and taking some notes. But yeah, when it gets posted there too, I'll make sure I go in the description and add in links. And do I plan to return to the membership? Yes, I do. So again, there were a lot of changes in my life this past year. And I've just been slowly reintegrating things back in. So when I have the chance to, the goal is this upcoming week. Today's Monday. The goal was to do some live streams. So we're already off to get start. It's Monday. I already did an hour. So I will try and hop over on the membership side this week as well too, but I'll post something in the community tab for that. But as always, I hope you all took something away from this. I love you so much. I hope you have a beautiful day, nighttime, wherever you are, and I will see you all later. Bye.